I get so excited and emotional when I see the kids, first that when they first figure out how to balance, and just the sense of wonder and the thrill of it all. They've unraveled a mystery that before had been unfathomable. And then when they transition from just balancing to pedaling and can generate their own power. It's great to see that sense of empowerment, and I think about them and how their worlds can expand now too. My name is Steve Guerin. I run two programs that are interconnected. One is the Safe Routes to School, and the other is the Healthy Community Action Team. I spent probably a third of my career as an educator. So when I learned of this program, and I was surprised I hadn't heard of it, the Safe Routes to School, I just thought, that sounds really cool, just, getting kids excited about biking. The first time you get your real first bike, and you realize what a difference it makes when you're on a good bicycle, that just opened my eyes to how much my world grew, how much I could explore on two wheels. I could drive places, but it wasn't nearly as fun as exploring it as I biked.
My name is Nick Verkla. I am a teacher here at Kate Collins Middle School. I teach gardening and ag, and I'm kind of the person who's been spearheading the Badger Bikers since I came to the school about 2 years ago. When I first came to the school, something I really wanted to get started was like a bike box or a bike co-op kind of thing. And I thought this would be a great place to do it. So I reached out to a bunch of people, and someone directed me to Steve at the Office on Youth. And it just so happened that they had a bunch of bikes that they were dying to get kids to ride. So the Badger Bikers started as something that we would do on Fridays. Fridays in the middle of the day, kids would get a free choice of what they were gonna do, and we would ride around the campus. And the kids loved it, and they kept wanting to do more. And I kept thinking, well, this is great, but this half an hour window in the middle of the school day is really limiting. And so how can we expand? So get the ball rolling. Office on Youth was able to purchase a bunch of new bikes that we are using for our after school club. We meet once a week for the moment, but we've got big dreams about what it could be.
Safe Routes to School is a nationwide program, and I believe it was created in 2005 or thereabouts. It might be off by a year. And so the intent really was to get more children walking and biking to school and other destinations in the neighborhood as a way of improving their health, but also reducing some of the congestion around schools, and therefore, increasing the safety for other people who are walking or biking, improving the air quality, building community, that kind of thing. The first person I talked to get a feel for Safe Routes was Kyle Lawrence, because I know he ran the Safe Routes, I believe, in Rockingham. And he said to me, and it kind of stuck, he says, well, really, that's what they say the emphasis is, but you got to make it your own. He says, for me, it was actually getting kids on bikes.
Yeah. I think it's really important to get kids on bikes at a young age because there's such a low barrier of entry. And it's a really easy way for kids to have a sense of autonomy, but also to gain a sense of responsibility for themselves and their property, but also the city in general, and think about whether or not their city is set up for bikes or whether it isn't, and how could they maybe affect change in that way.
Some of my favorite moments are when I am out around town and then being recognized as the bike man. That just gives me a thrill, because that meant that they remember me, and they remember me in a positive way, so something good must have happened. And in fact, I was at some event in Stanton last week, and I was working a table, and some fifth grader came up to me, and I said, "Sierra." She said, "Yes." And I said, "You were awesome on a bike," because she worked so hard to work on her balance. She was so diligent, so determined, and she got it. And she deserved that acknowledgement, my remembering that. What I often tell people, and it's true, is I know my time in a school has been successful when they are sad to see me go.
Ultimately, what's really cool, and because of the connection with Steve and the Office on Youth, this will be a class. It's centered around mountain biking, but we also just look at transportation in general, how that's so integrated into their experience of the town, even if they don't think about it, and then also get them riding bikes and get experience building bikes and maintaining their own bikes, and yeah, to infinity and beyond. Woo-hoo!